Good morning. Welcome to Gruber Power Services Power Hour. We are extremely excited today. My name is Claude Dixon.
And I'm Elvis Venter, and super pumped to be here today. I mean, we did some amazing behind the scenes stuff today. I'm so pumped.
We did.
I feel it.
Yeah. I mean, we came in this morning, and of course, we're talking about subscribers here. We came in this morning, I think we were at, where were we? We were like at 431. I want to say we were at 431. And we were, this morning being 7 a.m., and we were able to cover ground all the way to 511 subscribers in less than 3 hours. Okay, so I know Elvis has some things he wants to do, but I definitely want to thank our viewers, all the people that helped us get here, because this time last week we were at 352, and here we are sitting at 511. So I thank my friends, I thank my business associates, all the folks that my colleagues in the past that got onto this bandwagon and have helped us achieve over 500 subscriptions.
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago we were under 300, and we posed the challenge, and it comes with some really cool incentives and benefits, and I'm overjoyed. I'm very excited, very energetic right now, so it's going to be a really fantastic show. And I do want to thank the business professionals. I know a lot of them jumped on and showed support through LinkedIn, through our vendors, our common neighbors, and the one we work together with. And I want to thank them. I do want to give a special thanks to my friends and family, because they came through within the last 30 minutes to an hour. We hit over 80, maybe 100 subscribers within an hour. And for us, that's a huge deal. So the business professionals, the industry, the people that really came through, I saw them come out today and for the last few weeks. So to me, it means a lot, because how much we've invested and put into this. And it shows how much they mean to us, and how great this platform is, and it's just growing, and I'm pumped today. You're gonna have to like strap me down, because I'm just super energetic and very excited.
I'm very pumped too, and we would be remiss if we would not also thank our employees.
Big time.
Because there were like 10 or 11 of our employees that jumped on this bandwagon early. I gave them a challenge, and they helped us achieve this goal too. So many thank yous to the employees that work at Gruber Power Services and COM, our other division. There were even some subscribers from COM that helped us out. So thank you.
Our Gruber family is exactly what it is, a real family, and they show up day to day. And these last few days, they really came through, and we came together, we banded, and we're like, hey, this is not about me or you or about some free stuff, but it's about, growing this platform and educating and learning. And this has been a great journey. This is something very new to me, and it's a brand new landscape, and I love it. And when it comes to landscapes, me and you're all about that.
That's right.
The hiking, all that stuff. I feel almost not as excited, but almost I feel as accomplished today when we just finished the Hopi Salt Trail last week.
It took a lot of effort. Anything that you want to achieve, it takes a tremendous amount of effort.
Huge.
It's funny too, because on my notes I had good news, bad news.
Uh-oh.
Okay, and the bad news was going to be, hey, you know what? We missed it by 20 or 30. But it turned out that it was all good news. I mean, amazing thing. The other thing too is I just wanted to just point out, one other thing on the subscriptions. See, AI would not have got this done.
Ooh.
Okay? No, you can't galvanize AI, but you know what you can galvanize? The human spirit. And that's exactly what we did. We just galvanized the human spirit, and that's what made this happen, not some robot running around looking pale. But anyway.
And I want to make a quick side note to that. There's an episode in the show The Office, and one character, Dwight, is fighting against the AI machine to get some more subscriptions and more sales. And the AI is the website. And the website's buying paper, and Dwight's fighting him, and they're going at it. And at the end, AI lost, and it reminded me of that, because he was like, yeah, we're doing it, and AI, so they pulled a prank on him, and they went to a chat and said, the AI has become self-aware, and we're going to beat you. And Dwight, top salesman, was like, no, you're not going to. So that just reminded me of that.
He ran circles around AI, huh?
he was sweating and he was like freaking out. But then at the end, he came on top and it was just hilarious. It was human versus AI and it was the Office episode. So I loved it and it just reminded me of that. Okay. And Aaron was laughing when I made that reference because he watches it too.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
It's great.
Hey, one thing I want to hit on too, we'll get into it a little bit later, but I just wanted to point it out. And that's the backdrop.
Oh.
The backdrop. We're going to get into that a little later with our topic today. But before we do that, we have a special guest that I would like to introduce. And Lenny, if you could come on in here. Here he comes right here. Lenny is an employee of ours. He is our senior module repair technician. And in some of our prior podcasts, we had talked about a particular form factor of UPS. It happened to be the Symmetra LX. And we're going to be talking about that again and go into a little bit more depth into the inner workings. But before we do that, you're looking at a 26-year Air Force veteran right here, retired Air Force veteran, electronically skilled, has had many leadership positions, and has just been an awesome resource for us here. He has done electronic work on weapons of warfare, and I wanted to just go ahead and start with that. First of all, Lenny, welcome to the show.
Real quick, Lenny, can you press the button on the mic and unmute it? Here you go.
Let's hear you.
Thanks for having
me. Okay. Yeah. Welcome to the show. Thank you for your 26 years of service for helping to protect this country.
Thank you.
I think that is awesome.
My pleasure.
Yeah. You know, I'm a Army brat. I wasn't in the military, but my dad was. 28 years and 6 months in the Army, World War II, 3 tours in Korea, and 1 tour in Vietnam. You know, retired Command Sergeant Major E9. So I grew up in a very structured, well-organized family. I think the world of my dad. A lot of honor and respect for him. Same for you.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your service and all you've done. I'm not an, what was that? What did you call yourself? Army brat?
Army brat,
I'm just a brat because I have no one in my family that, so I'm just going to take the second part of that word because that was pretty difficult. But yeah, I appreciate it, especially me coming from another country and moving here. Appreciate the military. We were forced back in the day before the 90s. Mm-hmm. So for you to enlist and do it by choice is great. And I'm gonna make a comment. You look like you belong like one of the characters in the backdrop.
That's right.
You look like you belong there, dude.
Yeah.
More than all of us. I'm like, man, he looks like one of the good guys or bad guys in this movie. Looking snazzy.
Yeah. So Lenny, what are some of your just initial general thoughts? What do you got going on? Just, you know, a little bit about yourself.
About myself, married, 1 dog, I guess you consider my child.
Huge dog. Huh?
Huge dog, yeah. He's about 112, 115 pounds now, and he's still growing. He's
Gentle
going through
giant.
a growth spurt. He's going through a growth spurt right now. We're like, can't keep up with the food, can't keep up with it. But no, I like sports, like cooking, you know, and everything, but you know, I'm kind of a simple guy, not too complicated. You know, my wife thinks I'm mentally crazy, but you know, hey, it is what it is.
That's it for a different episode.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that on another one.
Yeah, but tell me, Lenny, against that backdrop right there. Tell me he doesn't look like you look like you belong in that image right there.
He's a long black trench coat. He looks like he's in the Matrix.
That's right.
All day with the Neo shades and everything. Yeah. You're ready to go.
Looking good. So Jesse, can you pull up image 68, E68?
E60.
Yeah, so we're going to show you, before we get into the topic, we want to show you some of the weapons of warfare that Lenny actually worked on from a telecom standpoint. Lenny, what are we looking at here?
This is what you call a Navy TACOMO. It was a replacement back in the late 90s, early 2000s for what they call an EC-135. Basically, it controls nuclear forces. If Offutt Air Force Base was to go off of the map, this takes over all of DoD nuclear forces, controls everything from the silos, talking to any aircraft, submarines or anything that may have nuclear weapons.
Amazing.
All that technical military stuff just flew over my head. Pun intended. Pun intended.
Yeah.
And, you know, and keep in mind, the statement I made is that this is a weapon of warfare. I like that terminology, you know, that for you to be, you know, doing telecommunication, electronic work on something like that is very, very impressive. Jesse, if you could go to the slide that says E-3 Sentry. This is another weapon of warfare that Lenny spent some time working on. We're talking over the course of 10 to 15 years doing technical electronic work, telecommunications. So that's E3 Sentry.
Looking in there, I don't have an E3 Sentry. I have E48 and an RC-135 and an AWAC.
That's it. The AWAC.
Okay, once.
Yeah. What's this one all about, Lenny?
This was basically talking to ground forces, can actually pinpoint where ground forces is at, enemy ground forces, enemy aircraft actually also. So it's basically a combat commander in the air, able to, not manipulate, but can actually control a ground war, control an air war from all to one faction, and talk from, aircraft to people on the ground.
Oh.
And also forward detect anybody who's, enemy and everything. They can actually forward detect things out there, aircraft or ground forces.
Amazing.
I love it.
Amazing. Well, there's another one that you presented to me yesterday, the E48. I hope it's labeled that way, Jesse.
The E48.
Yeah, I think that one is one.
Yeah. And they call this what, Lenny? This weapon of warfare that we're getting ready to show, what do they call this?
This is basically a flying Pentagon.
The Flying Pentagon.
Oh, that's Air Force
Essentially.
One, right?
No, not Air Force One. People will mistake it because of the blue stripe and the white paint.
In the United States of America.
Well, also it's a 747. It's a militarized 747. Looks like Air Force One, just a different paint job. But the thing with this is this can actually take over a complete operations. Like for example, 9/11 happened.
Wow.
Pentagon goes down because of what's going on. This flies 24/7. And it can take over operations to control any type of faction for the war. This also supports the president, supports the Secretary of Defense. When the SecDef goes out of country, he's on this bird, stuff like that. So it can control everything from right there. It's a 4-man crew as far as piloting and navigators, stuff like that. But it holds 108 crew members, 150 hours of flight with refueling. So in the 7,100 miles of range.
That's less than a quarter of my family, just to hold 108. That's nothing. That's nothing for us. We need about 6 of those for the Venture Carresco.
But yeah, I worked on this bird for about 2 to 3 years. The telecommunications and the cryptographic equipment and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. We got one more there. The RC-135. You could pull that up. RC-135.
Yeah, this is what they call a Cobra ball. It's based out of Offutt also. All these birds I worked on at Offutt when I was stationed out there for 2 tours, did 11 years out there. This basically is a reconnaissance plane. It goes out, looks for ballistic sites.
Wow. And you've worked on all of these. So that's the point.
Worked on
all of these that you're displaying is what you worked on from a technical standpoint.
From a technical standpoint. I didn't have a flying career job on the bird. I just worked on the communications equipment, telephone equipment, and the cryptographic encryption equipment
that's why I go
on there.
To you for almost everything in the depot. I bug you more than probably your wife does. And I'm like, hey, this board, I need help here. And I'm always going to you for that. So it's all your fault while you got all that knowledge. That's why I'm using you, bud.
Yeah. And like I said, I worked on these birds. And then outside of this, I worked on a nuclear system that works with the birds in conjunction with the nuclear silos.
Wow.
That's where I actually learned board repair. My first 6 years in the military.
Well, the best I could do was try to repair my Nintendo 64 back in the day. So you got me beat.
With the plug-in soldered iron, right?
That's all I could do. Yeah, if I was lucky.
That's amazing, Lenny. Well, thank you.
Oh, no problem. Like I said, my
appreciate it.
pleasure, man. My pleasure.
For that recap.
All right.
All right, so we're going to jump into our topic today, and that is basically the PCE board, which is the printed circuit board. And if you look at that backdrop behind us, that image is from the movie Tron. I'm not sure how many of you remember that movie, but that movie was on a circuit board. That whole thing, that whole setup, they were actually inside of a circuit board. So we thought that would be a real creative thing to show as a backdrop, since that's what we're going to be talking about.
We got to jump in on the comments because they're flooding through today.
I see them flowing in. Go ahead and take it.
Okay, Banana Man, I got to win that UPS. So he's referencing it the last 5 to 10 minutes of the show today, which we might be a little bit longer than an hour. The way it's going is we're going to do a raffle, and we're going to do the live raffle today, old school. Whoever puts their name in there and whoever's here, we're going to rip the paper, put it in a beanie, Gruber one, and someone's going in a free Smart Ups UPS and then some Gruber gear. Hey, so that's what he's referring to.
Just to add real quick, since you mentioned the raffle again, you need to be on when we do that.
You need to be on.
So you need to be on the podcast when we do the actual raffle.
And when I'm going to ask you each to chime in on the comment and give me whatever name you want to represent you in the raffle. And then we got Grant Mobile saying, yay, great job, everyone, including me. He's taking props, and we're going to give it to Grant all day because he helped us get past the 500 marker. And today he was a honorary Gruber employee for the day, the way he was working.
The other thing too, he's, this particular individual I know extremely well, and his degree is in broadcasting, production, that kind of thing, and that guy has a tremendous amount of insight into what we're doing, and he has given us some fabulous ideas behind the scenes.
And I'm going to hold you to this. I hope we bring him in one day because you made that mention. I really would love to have him here as a guest. He'd be phenomenal to have.
Yeah.
Lenny Hodges, the one and only right here. We got him, says, let's go. EV Fan, let's go. Congrats. Highlander, sorry I'm late, guys. Video crew, please say it 3 times. Kindness is always free. I love it. We're going to say it 2 more times. Kindness is always free. And kindness is always free. That's for you, Highlander. Bree says, thank you, Lenny, for your service.
Thank you, Lenny.
Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Highlander says, hi, Air Force, former electrical submariner here, SSN 714. Thank you for does that mean he served as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you for your service, Highlander. Laura, that's my big sister. I appreciate you jumping on. Shout out, bro. Appreciate that. It means a lot. Everyone jumping through. We have such a great, diverse subscribers and base, and it means a lot. Claude, why don't you take away the next ones from Highlander? That's you.
Okay, as long as those damn planes don't drop, some buoys on your boats, sonar buoys on your boats.
Sonar.
There we go. Yeah. Another one from Highlander, he had or has a TS. Okay, and then a last one there from Highlander regarding the movie Tron. Awesome movie.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That's all the comments right there. So, Jesse, if you can put in slide 999.
Ooh, we're jumping in hard. Let's go.
Slide 999. And what we're going back to is the Symmetra LX. That is the make and model of UPS that we're going to use in this podcast. So if you walked into any operation anywhere and they said they had a Symmetra LX, this is what you would see. This is exactly what you would see. You wouldn't see any internal components. You would just basically see the cover and the display, okay, in any operation that you would go in. All right, slide 777.
That's one of my favorite UPS units, the LX. I love it for what it can do.
Okay, that little rectangular piece that was on the original slide up at the top, that's what that piece looks like up close and personal. It is called a display. And Lenny, why don't you take us through what that thing tells us?
This is basically how you communicate with the unit itself, with the whole unit, with the individual modules, with the intelligence modules, power modules. What you do is you interface as far as turning on the load, turning off the load, as far as, equipment being able to be plugged into this to be energized. This also, like I said, it'll give you runtime on what batteries you have left in case the unit goes down. It'll give you, an expected amount of time, and it's not always exact. But this also tells you if you're gone on battery, if you're in a maintenance bypass where you're bypassing certain electrical components, and then also your fault. That's the biggest thing this display can do for you. For a customer out there, or for anybody who's working on these out in the field, your fault 95% of the time is going to tell you exactly what's wrong with this unit. Yeah, if you just
runtime.
And the runtime. The runtime is for the batteries, but the fault will tell you 95% of the time what's wrong with the equipment, what slot is in it, what piece of equipment is actually bad.
Right.
Without that fault, if you're getting other type of errors, typically it'd be a battery problem. But this is the go-to part of this. This controls the whole communications with it. And like I said, it'll tell you what's faulting out what section, what piece of equipment.
All right, so the CHRG is referencing the state of the battery charge.
At the time, right.
Exactly. And then the load. Talk us through a little bit of that there, the load percentage.
Your load percentage is basically how much electricity is being produced by your power modules, and then what this is provided, what the what's plugged into the unit, how much is drawing off of that, how much power is it coming from the unit to power other things. In this case, we actually have a space heater plugged in.
Okay.
And a space heater is set on low, and so it's pulling a 30% load, you know, as far as amperage, voltage, all this stuff that's calculated in there. So what this tells you is, okay, I'm at 30% load. I got one module. One power module is actually running this at this time. 2 power modules will kick that down to 15%. 3 will kick it down to 10. 4, and subsequently up until your 4th module, it'll decrease how much load is coming because they're all equally dissipated through each power module.
And in your view, what would be ideal, an ideal load percentage?
Ideal load percentage, you want to usually go between 30 to 50%.
Okay.
Now, if you start going higher, hey, it can handle it. The problem is, though, is if you don't have a redundant power module in there, you only have 4, you don't have a 5th.
Exact.
1 goes down, now 3's got to take on that load. And if subsequently something's going wrong, then that load's going to increase to each one. And then once you get to one module, once you hit, you can actually go over 100%, and it will shut down. It will actually fault out and everything.
And you will drop the load at that point.
And you drop the load at that point, and all that. So you don't want to do that, especially for the customers out there. You don't want to lose their load because who knows what pertinent data they're using at the time.
Right. And just to define that a little bit more, when we say lose your load, that can be a hilarious statement, huh? But what that means is that there has been a power interruption.
Yes.
Okay, that's what that means.
The reference Claude too, he said, kind of rule of thumb, general, don't go over 75%. Kind of stay at that. And when we're talking about load, it's when you connect some type of item or appliance device into this UPS. That first picture of the LX, it's if you put in a microwave or that, it'll show you how much energy power the microwave is using. And that's the word we utilize is load. And then we go to the voltages, the hertz, and then the runtime is not how long I can run without stopping, but it's how much runtime it'll give you. It'll give you 55 minutes at 30%.
Right.
So that's a great indicator. So that's what Lenny's referring to on what load is if your computer is in, probably takes less energy, so you might have more of everything.
Like, for example, you see your 200 volts in, 213 volts out. 209 volts in is what's coming in from the wall to the unit itself. 213 is what's going out to whatever you have plugged into it.
Okay.
So you typically, if that's not within, say, a 10% range, 5 to 10% range, it will fault. Because you can't, if you exceed what's going out, as far as what the capabilities are, it'll fault out, and you will lose your load then too. Even if it is on battery, because
that 213 is an indicator that the space heater is doing 200.
No, the 213 volts out is actually what the unit's pushing out,
pushing
to
out
power,
and available
to power the space heater.
Oh, right.
So yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and go to slide 1000. Slide 1000. All right, so we're really trying to break this down for you. So we talked about the display. You can see that there up at the top. Now what you're looking at here is the same exact unit. We call this fully populated. And what we mean by that is that you can see on the left-hand side there, if you could look vertical, you see 5 individual power modules. If you look to the right, you see towards the top, you see a little black wire going across the face of those. Those are intelligence modules, and then you have the 4 battery modules down the right hand side there. This is what we call a populated unit. Lenny, why don't you go ahead and take us down through that in a little bit more detail with the power modules first.
Okay, so like Claude said, on the left hand side you have your 5 power modules. Typically these units will send them out with 4 power modules, 16 kVA. And so the 5th one acts as a redundant unit. So if one fails, you have a 5th one to take that place. So you still always have 4. So each of these units produce anywhere, you can set them to produce 208 volts to up to 240 volts. for that. So that's what they're handling in and out. There also are international models of these power modules too, that are strictly at 240. You can try to set them. You can set them at 208, but they're made for 240 for going overseas.
The power modules.
The power modules. They actually
hertz change.
The hertz are still the same.
Okay.
It's still going to be 60 hertz at it. But what's amazing though is the only way you can tell is a label. Instead of a black label that tells you there, it's kind of a silver colored label.
Okay.
And if you scroll down to the fourth module, where it says test module, that's an international one.
Oh, I see.
So what I do is I use that as a test module because we can't sell it here in the States. We're not going to, people are going to see it and like, oh, it's not compatible, even though it is.
Off the
even
market.
though it is, yeah. So, but I wanted to show that because there is a difference when you see these.
Yeah.
That's the first for me.
Yeah.
As educated I am on that, I didn't know that that's silver, and I see the silver back, the little silver back label. The other ones are black.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
And-
good to know.
And Jesse, real quick before Lenny goes on, can you zoom out one more time? Okay. So what's going to really be cool is the power module, which is the vertical to the left, those 5 modules you see there. We're going to unpack one of those. You're actually going to see the internal circuitry later on in the podcast on what a power module looks like inside and the process that it goes through in terms of inspection, testing, etc. All right. So how about those intelligence modules up there?
Your Intel modules are it's like a computer. It's your CPU. It's your brains of the unit. And what that does, it monitors the unit completely. It'll tell you what faults you have. It'll monitor temperatures. It'll well, not so much temperatures, but it'll monitor power in and out. It'll monitor your battery, how much load you have, things like that. So what'll happen is every 30 to 45 seconds, it cycles through the whole unit. It tests each of the modules. It tests each of the batteries. It tests its own Intel module. And then, of course, the one on top of that, the one without the display plugged into it, is a redundant module in case the main module goes down. So what it does, it tests all of these. It tests the power in. It tests the power out. It tests how are the modules operating, how are the batteries operating. And that's where it'll display back or put it up onto the display all the information we had on the screen before, and then of course if there's a fault, it's going to tell you that there's a fault, including if it's a fault on its own self.
Okay, so you would call this a 16 kVA?
I would call it 16 kVA with a redundant power module. Yes.
Okay, so N+1. All right, and just to break that down, the 16 comes from the power modules. There are 5 of them. One is redundant. They're each 4 kVA.
Yep.
Okay, that's how you do that. Do you need all of them in the machine at one time for it to function properly? The answer is no. It depends on what type of load you're putting into the machine. You may only need 2 or 3 or whatever. It depends.
For the rating.
Yes.
I have one that I'm going to probably provide to one of our customers next week. It's an 8 kVA frame, half of this, with only 4 kVA power modules. So it's going to be 2 because he wants N+1.
One power module.
One
right.
power module and the N+1. So it's going to have the redundant slot so he never goes down. And at that point, you need to be very cautious. When you're only using exactly what you're trying to get, like a 4 kVA, you need a redundancy. Because if not, you're
toast.
You're done. You're toast.
Yeah. All right, so how about those battery modules to the right there?
Those are basically for the, if you lose power, you're on battery backup.
Yeah.
We're on battery backup at that point. So on the display where it said runtime 55 minutes, that's based on one battery that we had in the system when I took that screenshot. So each of these, if I had 4 of these batteries with a 30% load, well, with all these modules in there, it'd probably only be down to about 5%. If I had 4 fully charged batteries, we're probably looking at like 18 hours, 19 hours of runtime.
Yeah, the other thing I want to point out too, when Lenny says batteries, he's talking about each one of those modules by themselves. So you could say there's 4 batteries, but the truth of it is that there's smaller batteries inside each one of those modules. I forget the count.
40. 10 in each.
So there's 10 in each. So it could be a 12-volt, 7-amp-hour battery, 10 of those inside one of those modules.
Or the 9-amp-hour.
Or the 9-amp-hour.
That's what we prefer. And that's what we, that's what we would say.
So there's actually technically 40 batteries in this fully populated UPS. All right, let's go to slide number 2001. 2001.
Oh, she lost some weight. Look at her.
Yeah, look at
She's
that.
skinny.
Okay, so when you hear the reference that a UPS is unpopulated, this is what you see. Okay, you don't see any more power modules. They've been removed, as well as the battery modules. Okay, so when you hear somebody talk about an unpopulated UPS, this is what they're referencing. Okay, anything you want to mention there, Lenny?
The reason the MIMs are left in there, though, or your Intel modules are left in there, because those are assigned to the serial number of the unit, of the frame.
Interesting. And
So that's how we'll, in depot, and that's how we do our stock inventory. If we don't have one already populated, we'll keep the frame, but we'll keep the Intel modules in there because that's assigned to the serial number of that unit.
very interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how we were able to track it easier.
Okay. All right. So now that you guys have that understanding, we're going to take you now to what Lenny does on a day in, day out basis in our depot, and that's the module repair process. There's really like 6 steps to this. There's the inspection, there's the cleaning, there is the testing, part replacement if necessary, and burn-in of the power module. We're just going to focus on the power module that was on the left-hand side of that populated UPS. So let's go ahead and start with what these power modules look like from the get-go when we receive them, when they come in. So go ahead and go to slide number 1 under dirt.
Yes, I'm going to open up all the dirt ones. Are we going through those, or are we going to
Yes.
be bouncing back and forth?
We're going to go through all the dirt ones first.
Okay, let me open.
I'm amazed too. There you go. Lenny, take it from there. What are we?
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
So what'll happen is obviously we buy these things used, we refurbish them to the best of our capabilities, and then, sell them back out to the customers and or provide for service support when we have one go down. So typically, you'll get one, it'll look nice and clean on the outside. You open it up and you're like, great, there's another 10 to 15 minutes. But it is what it is. So,
Sounds like my kids, but
dirt, dust, sand, whatever you're getting into these, it's all based on environmental conditions of where the equipment's located. Because what happens is there's a fan in the front of these, a cooling fan that pulls air in. It doesn't push the hot air out. It pulls the cool air in. It's like a cool air intake on an engine. So it's pulling it in. So anything you have in that environment, and especially if you're missing that front bezel that we showed in the very first picture of the LX, if you're missing that front bezel and all those modules are pulling in all that air and all that dirt, this is what you're going to have.
Wow.
so the bezel is another form of protection.
It is. If you're a customer out there, please keep your bezel on.
Yes, yes. Okay, go ahead and transition to 2, Jesse. Slide 2. There you go.
So this is the back side of the same one. If you were to zoom in, you can see a little bit more of the dirt. The picture doesn't do it justice because it kind of brightens the dust. But typically, it's something that will look like this. There's a lot of more worse cases than this. This is just a typical one that we'll get. Now, what we do is we'll open them up. I'll pull any cards off to the side, left and right of the heat sinks there, those aluminum heat sinks, and we'll clean those cards up. Those cards get new parts put on them to refurbish them. We pull the fan. We pull the fan shroud, the fan guard on the outside. We pull that, clean the fan.
Okay. Yeah,
Claude?
Jesse. Yeah, you can go ahead and just scroll through them, and then Lenny will walk
Talk
through.
about.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just want to say too, as somebody that has zero detailed electronics experience, it's crazy to me that this thing even runs. There's so much stuff in here. It seems like it just is crazy to me.
Well, that's a good sign, though. Actually, it's a good sign if something is this dirty. That means it was reliable. That means it met its capabilities. It met its lifespan.
It's a very durable unit.
It's a durable
Very
unit.
durable.
Now, that doesn't mean go out and just, put it anywhere you want to.
No.
Right.
We don't want that. But it also tells me that this unit, once I get it cleaned up, 99% of the time it's going to work. Once I refurbish the parts that we typically do, 99% of the time it's going to work.
That's a good percentage. I'd take it.
This image, right? Yeah.
Okay, now that one, this one came out of snow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
That one
this
looks
this
brutal.
actually came out of the mine.
Okay, that makes
This
sense
actually
from the
came-
mines. I was asking if
this
you guys pulled
comes-
it out of the Grand Canyon.
This came out of one of the mines here in Arizona, one of the copper mines. So there you go. Like I said, environmental conditions are going to dictate how dirty it is. It's going to dictate how long it runs. The sad thing, though, or the downside to having stuff like this, heat or sand, dirt, dust bunnies, or whatever absorb heat. So as you absorb heat, parts, things like that are going to fail if they overheat.
Yes.
Now, that's not always the case, but it can happen.
Typically in a moist environment where the dust is like sticking to the internal, components on the board, I'm sure that's going to cause a heat issue over time. But let's get some of these questions addressed up here. So we have one from YouTube, Highlander. He knows what 40 hertz is. He will get it. YouTube, Highlander, again, your last podcast, I mentioned ABT. Should have said auto bus transfer versus manual bus transfer. Easier for your viewers. My bad. YouTube IT manager, what is the kVA rating on each APC Symmetra power module? We talked through that one, I believe, already.
kVA?
Yeah. YouTube Highlander again. To IT, good question. I guess he's referencing the 4 kVA power module. YouTube again, Highlander, very informative, awesome guest speaker. Go Air Force.
Lenny, you found your new best friend, Highlander. You guys must be, you guys are brothers.
It's a veteran. It's a veteran thing.
I can tell. I love it.
You got military people out there.
So Lenny, do you know what 400 hertz is? Does that, based on his question, he said you should know what 400 hertz is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically dealing with your power.
Okay.
It's a frequency.
Okay.
Right.
Banana Man. Have you ever gotten a unit that was just so bad you didn't bother? Of course, right?
Oh,
I have.
I'll be honest.
That's a can of worms question. Open them up.
I have opened up. I'll be honest. I have opened up a couple units. It's so dirty and it's so corroded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
These containers or the cases of these are made out of steel. And then they're basically anodized. There's a coat. If they're painted, there's a coating that's put on, like an anodized coating to protect it. So what happens is they'll get so corroded. They've been in moisture environment. They've been in water. They've rusted. They've got acid everywhere inside. I opened up one and it was just covered with acid and dirt. I just took it and threw it right in the bin.
Did you have any like animals?
I didn't even
trace of anything for like.
No, I haven't. I take that back. I did find chicken feathers in one.
Okay.
I did find
That's
chicken
why I asked,
feathers.
because I had a unit with the mice apartment one time years ago. I talked about that when there was we found all the signs of mice and nest. So I know that. And when he says gotten a unit that was just so bad, yeah, they get beat up. They're unrepairable. They're damaged. They're destroyed. They look like 2 power modules instead of 1.
Yeah, rained on. Who knows?
Everything destroyed.
I have actually, in the 2.5 years I've been doing this now, I have learned how to work metal now. How to reshape
you say
it.
prayers sometimes when you see some of these?
Sometimes
right?
I'm like, please work.
Yeah.
But no, but I've actually had to go in and straighten metal out, straighten cases out.
Oh, wow. I've seen those.
Re-rivet everything. If I have to retap screw holes, I'll have to, things like that I'll do.
Mm-hmm. And then Aaron, you had
also.
something. I saw you were gearing up to say something part of this.
Oh yeah, I was just going to ask, how come no filter, or is there a filter available for this to try to cut down on some of that dust?
You can't really, because the components get so hot. If you have a filter in there, it's going to cut down on the airflow. The circumference airflow is going to cut down on that, which means your component's going to heat up more.
Okay, let's keep going because the questions keep flowing in
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Another one from IT manager. Dust and dirt like this acts like a blanket, making heating dissipation more difficult.
That's
yes.
a great point.
Yes, we addressed that.
Great image too.
Another one from Grant Mobile. This one is great.
Great
I like
question.
this one. Do you vacuum the unit or blow out the dirt?
Both.
Okay.
We can do both.
Both.
We have an electrostatic vacuum to help dissipate electrostatic electricity, so you don't fry components. But if I have had cases when I've opened up and I'm like, got to vacuum it, then I have to blow it out.
And then even brush sometimes,
yeah.
because I know that we have paint brushes, but clean and taken care of. That you have to use that even for fans, for boards. Sometimes the air won't do its job, so you do have to brush it.
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen that.
And at the same time, air can also damage.
Correct. It can.
Okay. Well, let's stop there and get back into these images.
Okay.
I think we were on number 4, image number 4. Okay. There's the fan. You still on, Lenny?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
If you go back to the fan one real quick, you know what? That fan actually worked. Blow it out, you blow the coils out, you blow the bearings out, you wipe it down. I wipe every blade down, front, back, and then wipe the casing inside and out. And I test the fans before I put them back in the unit, because if they're bad, there's no need to reuse it, and then we go from there.
Okay.
But that fan actually worked after cleaning it.
Okay. All right, let's go to image number 6. Those capacitors in there.
I don't like the image name on this one. It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
What's that?
666.
No. No, we're on image number 6.
Oh, image number 6.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, oh no. I'm gonna leave the room for a second when we get to
Exactly,
that one. I gotta pray over it. Lord have mercy. Image number 6. Okay.
Any comments on that, Lenny?
Dust bunnies.
Yeah, just the dust bunnies there.
Basically, any fibrous material that's out on the outside is getting pulled in will create the dust bunnies over time.
All right.
Okay, so you get the gist on this, correct? I think we all do. The power module is dirty. There's issues with it. Dust bunnies, all sorts of things could be going on inside that the technician has to look for and inspect. So what we want to do now is show you an actual short video, okay, of the beginning, kind of like to the end of what the cleaning process looks like. So if you could put in 666, I know Elvis has a problem with that number.
The power of Christ compels this video.
This is a short little 1.5 minute video. I think that you'll get a lot out of.
All right.
And the technician doing the work is the gentleman sitting right next to
One
us.
and only.
Okay, here we go.
So there's the air, as we were talking that he blows it with the air gun, and he cleans it out. And then those are the side guards, right? The plastic.
Yeah, it's a shroud. It's a heat shroud that actually, and it keeps also the boards from shorting out to the case itself.
Okay.
So it goes up underneath, it goes up to the sides, and then the tops fold over the 2 cards that are put back in, the control card and your PFC card.
You see those copper, what are copper capacitors?
Those are shutdowns.
The shutdown. You see the copper rings, Claude?
Mm-hmm.
Does it look
Yeah.
familiar what you were looking at yesterday, holding it?
I don't think those are it, though.
They'll look like it.
It was a different device Ray was talking about. Yeah.
But those still might be
They
similar.
the device
Yeah,
was enclosed.
those are the boards, those circuit boards.
Yeah, you have your PFC, which controls your power in and out, and also your battery charge. And then that smaller board I just did is your control board. That's the brains of the unit.
The control board. Okay.
Right.
That's where the fan goes.
That's where the fan is, a circular. And then the fans also have a guard, right?
The fan has a guard on the front.
Correct, on the
And
front.
then those 2 blue capacitors and the heat sinks, they actually have a shroud on the front of that,
Yeah.
like your radiator.
See, look, now he's actually using both techniques if you realize it. He's using the air gun and the brush. Because the brush is going to get it out and then he can blow it out. He's using both techniques, which I love that. And that shows just the thoroughness and the how careful he is on cleaning this.
Okay, that completes the video. So, Lenny, in addition to the blowing out of the module, are you doing any like wiping? And if you are you using any sort of chemical?
Yeah, speak to that.
Actually, I use a damp rag.
Okay.
Surprisingly, people are like, it's electronics, it's electricity. I'm like, by the time it dries and I've got everything put back together, it's dry, it's dissipated. So I use a damp rag on the inside to wipe the shrouds out. If there's any type of caked on dirt, I'll wipe that out. On the outside of the case, I use water, damp rag. If there's something that cannot come out, I'll use denatured alcohol and Goo Gone. And sometimes a combination of those two just to get adhesive off, to get markers off because customers will write bad on it or whatever, or stickers from other places who have owned it or whatever. So it'll come out looking pretty decent once you wipe everything down, clean everything down, hammer out any dents in the cases, stuff like that.
Well,
And go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, let's look at a couple of images where the power module has been cleaned. The same one you just saw, and then the finished product. So if you could go to clean, slide 1. That's it right there. Okay, so that's the fan now. That's been cleaned up.
It's pretty.
Yeah, there's slide
Yeah,
number
look
2.
how nice it looks. Finished product. Yeah, look at that. With the caps and the boards. And I will like to make, as we watch through these, I'd like to make a point. What Kenny does, which is very, very impressive, is a lot of the boards, from power modules all the way to all types of PCB boards, the printed circuit boards. I've seen you work on a number of them where he literally just solders them, fixes them, repairs them, brings them to industry standard, and you're literally there like a scientist with your magnifying scope or whatever, and then you're soldering and you're repairing and you're bringing these back to life. And those circuit boards, you see, he's working so tedious on removing, replacing, and then soldering them, which is really great that Lenny has so many processes and he's using the right approach in the industry to get these repaired. It's just like, oh, it's a fried board, we're not going to use it. Okay, cool. Now we throw away the whole UPS. No, we have a number of boards that he works on, from power modules all the way to UPS units in itself. And that's a great technique that he has and a great skill, because he could work on, and I mean, they look so tiny and small where I'm just like, yeah, that's when he comes in and I just walk away, because it's really fascinating to see and it's commendable and it's great to know.
Look at that finished product there.
Yeah.
You know, you think of the image when it was dirty and you look at the image when it's clean. I mean, that's amazing. That you're able to get it to that point, refurbish it to that point. That's awesome.
There's the guard, there's everything. It looks, and then you just put the top on and you're ready to rock.
All right, let's go to slide 555.
Oh.
So there's a blown capacitor, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was found after you blew out this module, correct?
Oh, it was found another module, yes, like that, where it was so caked with dust bunnies you can't see every type of component if it's covered in dust. So what I do is I blow it out and then I do another visual inspection, because something can be blown and you can't see it because of the dust or the dirt or whatever's covering it at the time. So you clean it and then you do the inspection of the board and say, okay, what components are damaged? What components actually completely broke off the rest of the way from blowing it?
The dust is that deceiving. And that goes to the reference that the IT manager said. It acts like a blanket and it hides. It's a great point.
So in this case, you know, you have dust bunnies sitting on top of it and you blow it out and you're like, oh, that piece is burnt. Oh, now that piece is burnt. Oh, that piece is now broken. You know, so that's why I do the cleaning like that and then do another visual inspection afterwards.
Right. Now, what's interesting about this, all we have discussed and talked about was the inspection and the cleaning of the power module. We haven't mentioned anything about testing, which is the very next step. So I'm going to have Lenny break that down a little bit for you on what we go through to test a power module.
So what happens is we'll get the module, I'll do a thorough cleaning, completely refurbish standard parts to make the unit last longer in the field. And then from there, put it back together as if it was factory standards, put it into the unit, and then let it burn in for about 20 to 30 minutes with no load. Because typically you can have parts that fail just from heating up.
And what do you mean by burn in?
So for burn in, I'll put the unit into the unit, like for one of these 4Ks, I'll put it into the unit, let it go for 20 to 30 minutes without a load, without it, you know, powering any additional equipment. And then from there, I'll put a load on it for about an hour. And that's an hour to hour and a half burn-in period to see if any components fail due to heat or any components going to fail due to them just not working or communicating within the unit itself.
You're letting it run and test.
Yeah, we let it run and test.
We do that for so many different types. For battery modules, you have a certain time limit and procedure that you let it go for certain hours and days. We do that across the board, and I know you do that to be very thorough and technical.
I do that just because I had a unit fail at 59 minutes.
Wow.
At 59 minutes, it failed. It happens. So, you know, if you're testing it for 5 to 10 minutes, it has not even done anything at this point. It's probably not even got up to complete heating status as far as the heat that can make a component fail at that time.
So when I look at the internal components of the module, I have one sitting right here, this board. Probably can't see it on the screen. But I look at all these different, you know, parts and different things on here. You know, there's fuses, there's resistors, there's heat sinks, there's capacitors, different types of things. What is the most common failure that you run across?
Most common failure in these would actually be the IGBTs, the transistors, the rectifiers that are on the side of the heatsink. Those are the most common thing, and they blow. They just blow because
Over the fan?
Over the fan. The fan, you'd be surprised, even if it's clunking along, if it's grinding, it's still working.
Wow.
It's still pulling air, and it's still doing its job. It won't fail because it can't fail if the fan completely stops.
Right.
But if the fan keeps going, it's still going to work. But
you're
those
gonna,
are the most
but
common.
If you hear grinding, you're going to change that fan.
Yeah, we change the fans out, and I always I test it before I clean the fan. I test that fan because if I hear grinding or clunking before I spend 10 to 15 minutes cleaning a fan, thorough cleaning it, what's the point of me wasting my time?
agree.
So I test it beforehand and say, okay, there's nothing there, throw it away.
Okay.
You know.
So there is a certain degree of testing that's going on before you actually go through the cleaning process.
So and typically what'll happen, what will cause these to fail is life, you know, life of system or whatever, power surges. Just a slight power surge, a flicker or anything that can blow one of these.
Just from a drop and then a restart? Because the power surge will stop it and restart it.
I've had it fail. I've had it actually, these things blow as I'm putting the unit in.
Wow.
And powering on, they will blow just from that initial surge of power to it. I've also had them fail, not these, but on the control board. Just by tightening down, there's a captive screw in the front that pushes a on-off switch. Even if that on-off switch, if you push it on and come off back on a couple of times as you're trying to get that, it can actually fry the control board because those initial power surges going back and forth.
right.
So those are usually the most common things on the main board.
Okay, now I've come out there many times, and I don't know if it's just my timing on when you do things or what, but I've seen you and I've observed you test capacitors. What device, what tool are you using to test the capacitors?
We call it an ESR meter, and I can't exactly remember the terminology right now, but what that does, it tests the microfarads, it tests the capacity of the capacitor as far as can it function, can it filter the electricity through it that it's supposed to. And what I do is I read what the standard is of the capacitor, and then, okay, if I'm more than 20% off from that standard, then I replace it.
Okay.
Because you usually typically want a plus or minus 20%.
Okay.
And these capacitors, they'll last 20 years.
Yeah, and it's simply not you just pulling one off and putting one on. There's a soldering process that goes on.
No, there's a process to all
There's
of
a
that.
science to it.
And a science that not everyone can do. You have to
That's what me and
you have to be skilled at this stuff, you know.
That's why me and you are not in the depot.
Exactly.
There's a reason for it.
Okay, so we talked about testing. We talked about parts that might need replacement. And then, of course, the burn-in, you already hit on that. So let's address some of these questions again. So we have U2 IT Manager. 400 hertz is used in aircraft sine wire sizes, and components are smaller and lighter. YouTube from Highlander to IT. Yep. YouTube, Highlander again. I can count the number of... What does that say?
I vacuum all my control panels.
Okay.
Dry ice for cleaning too. I that one throws me off. The dry ice for cleaning. Lenny, can you speak to that? Because that one,
Never used it. Don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't sound right to me. It sounds a little off, but I'm not the end all be all to speak to that. And I've never heard of it. This is the first time I've heard that, and you just said you never used it. So it sounds a little to me. I got questions on that. That's what I would say. Highlander, I can't count the number of Fanuc controllers I've worked on because the cooling fan died. Grant Mobile, is this normal maintenance, or do you just service the unit if it is needed due to a service call? So the process you're doing for the power modules, the cleaning, all that, is that normal?
That's cradle to grave. I wouldn't say cradle to grave, but that's cradle for me receiving it back to our stock inventory.
Exactly.
And
Every module gets the same
If
treatment.
we sell it or service it, whatever the case,
Same treatment.
So it can go on that ready rack for the inventory. That's what it has to pass. So that's normal. That's a Gruber norm for our group.
Yeah, let me clear that up. Go back to that question again. Okay, is this normal maintenance, or do you just service the unit if it is needed due to a service call? Okay, he's talking about two different things there. Okay, Grant Mobile, what Lenny does, it's internal to our operation. Okay, so he has the setup, he has the workstation, okay, the capability to take the module apart and do a further analysis while he's here on site. The service call has to do with the field. And in the field, if there's a power module issue, which you can get from the display, the field engineer just removes the entire module and brings it back to the shop, and then it's reviewed that way. And then we send just a fresh module out for the field engineer to replace. So they're not doing this type of work out in the field in reference to the service call part of the question.
Correct.
Okay? Instagram, could the camera be turned around to see the images?
He's talking about that big board right there.
We would not be able to do that with the Instagram camera, unfortunately. Hopefully, soon in the future, we'll have green screen capabilities for Instagram.
Yeah, anybody on Instagram, you can go to the main Gruber Power YouTube channel to see all the images that's on the.
Awesome. And then Highlander, yep, on alcohol we used in the ship, which he's talking about what he used to clean with the rag on alcohol. We use in the ship yard and Tric, now illegal. Video team and Gruber Power team. This goes to all of you guys here behind the scenes, everyone helping, still needs a raise, even if only bagels and donuts. I'm going to speak to that. Claude already is that one that takes care of that stuff. He goes above and beyond with the coffees, with the bagels, with the donuts, with the lunches, with all these. We're doing barbecue right now. I think they're grilling outside as we speak.
Well,
so we take care of the crew one way or another.
Yeah, we try to. We try to take care of them. We try to tie everything, though, to going above and beyond the call, getting great performance results, that type of thing. We bring our employees in, and we recognize and reward them.
But Highlander, I will give a special treat to, just because you did that. I'm gonna hold myself to it, and I'm gonna respond to your call. I'm gonna take care of the three guys there with some breakfast or food or snacks. I already gave Richard some candy last time he answered some good questions. You're welcome.
He did follow through on that.
And some coffee.
That's right.
And then Aaron and Jesse, I'll take care of them. I'll get them some food and breakfast. I don't shy away from that. So yeah, that's something we do at Gruber. We always get food for each other. We see each other so much, so we take care of each other on so many different ways.
All right, we got a final one there, final statement from Highlander. Quality service costs money. You provide quality. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so I think that wraps up the questions.
All right.
Hey, I want to do, before Lenny takes off, we're transitioning here. I want to do.
He's leaving us.
Yeah, I want to do one did you know? We didn't get a chance to do that last segment, so I just want to do one. It's pretty cool. Pertains to batteries. Can anybody tell us where the largest battery energy storage is located in the world? Largest battery energy storage location in the world.
In the world?
Yes, we'll give you a few minutes on that to chime in, and then we'll let you know. In the meantime, I want to thank you for showing up here. Your input was awesome. Learned a lot.
Yeah.
I always learn a lot when I talk to you anyway. Even out there on the floor, I'm always learning something, and that's a good thing. So I appreciate you spending time with us. We're going to invite you back because there's plenty of components out there you work on that you could talk about.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I learned something. I really learned the one that stood out to me for personally a lot of things, but the one was with the power module with the silver and black label. That one is something I honestly did not know as long as I've been doing that. And power modules, the 4Ks are something in my wheelhouse that I sell all the time. So that's great to know.
Mm-hmm. You want to hang around with us for the raffle?
Come on.
Sure. Okay. I'm logged in too. Where's my phone?
Hey, we got some responses back, and this one I'm not surprised about, right? This one here has come up so many times. This country. Ooh. Does anybody want to guess what country came up first with the first response? Anybody? Which country?
Jesse. China.
But guess what? It's not China.
This time.
Okay.
We're still friends with them.
Then we got Giga, Texas. No, that's not it.
Nope.
And then the Seed Vault in Greenland.
That's a great response, but I have no idea.
Well, let me tell you, it's right next door to us.
Uh-oh.
Right next door to us in California.
Ooh, USA. Yeah. US finally takes it #1.
Yeah, Moss Landing in California.
Wow.
400 megawatts, okay? Or 1,600 megawatt hours in that one location. All right?
The largest battery energy storage.
In fact, there's 3 sites in California. Wow. Let's do the top 5. There's 3 sites in California The 2 other sites are number 4 and number 5. Then we have a site in Florida, which is number 2, and Aaron Ream, I think that's how you pronounce your last name. Okay, you are correct. Number 3 is Australia.
Aussie.
Yes, great guess there. Great guess there.
Third. You get bronze.
Yes. All right. Well, you know what? Guess what time it is?
Time to leave.
Time to leave. Okay, let's go. No. Let's go.
Yeah, we're gonna make do on our promise.
Not even say goodbye. Let's just get.
No, right? Yep.
Okay, so you're the raffle guy.
See you next week, right?
You're the raffle guy.
This
So
has been
how are we
exciting.
going to get their names?
Okay, now that we're gonna do this, I'm going old school, and one of my sisters, because I have so many family members, but one of my younger sisters, I don't know if she's on today, but she was saying, she's like, Elvis, you guys can give her free UPS? Can you tell me the specs? Can you tell me this? I said, she's my baby sister. I said, baby girl, you got to get on, you got to watch it, and then we'll talk about it. But right now, we're gonna do this very simple, since we still got time to do this. So starting right now, we're in. You're working hard.
Does this thing have batteries?
That's why you got a muscle man here. You should have him. Look at that.
Can you handle it?
I think that's how heavy his cell phone is. Then you could take this all day.
Yeah, get that computer out of the way. I don't need that thing.
Actually, Aaron's my best friend. He's actually lives in Omaha.
Okay.
That
really?
Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's
That
awesome.
one right there?
That's your-
It's not this Aaron?
That's your.
It's a
you said
different
that's your
Aaron.
best friend. Hey.
Best friends forever. Okay, he's first in. So right now, everyone starting right now at 11, which we're a minute over, everyone on the comment section has to give us their name, whatever the case is. I do want to ask the staff, the group, the production group, do we have that email or no? That we're going to make available. That they need to send us their information to, that we're going to make available at the end of
Or you know
Ask Her
what?
Who
I'll
Wins.
just give them my email
Yeah,
address.
they can send it to.
Okay, here's the email
Okay.
address right here. D as in dog, I, X as in X-ray,
Mm-hmm.
the @ sign, at Gruber.com. DIX at Gruber.com. That's GRU, B as in boy, ER.com.
And the reason is, whoever wins, we're going to need you to send an email to that email with your information, to where we ship it to the name, the location, and all of that.
Exactly,
We're going to
exactly.
send this out. That's why we need that. But right now, we need it. It's like I feel like it's a telethon, an hour-thon. Let's get this going.
We got one guy in the hat right now.
We're going to put Aaron, since he jumped on, to give us your name, very informative, Highlander, that we're going to write their names.
Put his last name too, just in case you get 2 Aarons.
Mm-hmm. And what we're going to do is we're going to tear paper. We're going to put it in this awesome Gruber beanie, which this is part of the
Show 'em that
gift.
logo.
Look at that. Look at that gorgeous thing. And there's so many colors.
Very nice.
Me and Claude have a few. There's one with the fuzzy ball. There's so many different ones we keep bringing.
How'd you get a few?
Last time I checked, you gave
I
them to
thought
me.
I just gave you one.
Listen, I saw a box with goodies, so I just jumped in. You didn't say there was a limit.
Okay, we got EV fan. We got to
Okay.
figure out who this person
Highlander.
is. Yeah, Highlander.
Yeah, he's becoming our number one fan. We love him because kindness is always free. And I'm gonna start saying that all the time. EV fan.
And so
is the
just
other
for
one.
the audience, they
This
just need
is-
to comment. That's it, right? They need to
Comment,
comment
Just
their
comment,
name or do
come in. We know you're
anything else.
watching, so we can put you in. And we're gonna give it a few minutes as people chime in.
Yeah, let's go
Because-
to message your people.
We've got 20 people watching right now,
Okay.
and we've got 3 comments.
We need
Three
the
people's
comments
names.
from all those people, because we can't just see them. We need
Well,
a comment from them.
let me tell you something. The 3 people that are already commented, they're hoping that those people don't.
I would be
Because that increases their odds of winning.
I hear ya,
Okay, we
all
got.
day.
Oh, whoa!
There he is.
Whoa, Grant Mobile.
There he is.
Grant Mobile.
Oh.
Okay, great show today. Hey, let's read the comments too.
He's been our top.
Highlander
our top
says
supporter,
very
too.
informative. The EV fan says great show. Grant Mobile says great show today.
Yep. Just chime in, say hi, give us questions, give us a comment, a statement, and yeah. We're gonna
What
put
are
you
your
in.
thoughts? What do you think? Do you think 25% is a pretty good return
Or what?
on anything?
25%.
Yes.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Well, that's where these guys are at right now. They got a 25% chance
Oh,
winning.
yeah, you're right.
Unless somebody else chimes
Yeah,
in. You know
yeah,
me,
it's gonna
me,
go
I'm always
down.
working the numbers in
You
my head.
are. I was like,
Always working the
25%
numbers.
of free is free.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
oh,
there's another one.
Let's get him. Banana
Banana
Man.
Man.
Oh, yep.
Banana Man.
I don't know. According to Elvis, you just find a box and it's free.
Yeah, that's how I do it. That's what's worked for me. Why do you think I got all this free swag?
Okay. So those 5 are off.
We're
Let's
going to
see.
give it a few more minutes. We're going to be
Another
gracious
one?
since we've had a lot of people really support. So I think they deserve that.
Brandon Ream. Did I pronounce that right?
Is that his brother?
That's my nephew.
Okay.
Ooh, what up, nephew?
Rich, you know what? Their odds just went up to 40%.
Oh, yes,
now.
they did.
That's a family thing there.
Hey, when families stick together, they come through.
Oh, just another comment. I don't know if this person wants us to put their name in there twice. But anyway, every podcast has been great.
He's trying to work the
Highlander.
system. I love it. Kindness is going viral instead of viral, but it is viral. You helped me start it. And kindness is always free.
No. He's right. He said, do not read this.
No, I'm saying do not read this for what I'm about to type. So
Okay,
don't
okay.
read what I'm about
Let's
to
not
type.
do that. Let's not do that. All right. Well, we're working. We're working. So now I want to count how many we got in so far. 1, because I already lost count. 2, 3, 4. We got a lot of people in today. I like it. 5, 6. All right. And yeah, we're ready to go.
How many people are still on, Jesse?
It's going up. We're 21.
21. We only have how many
Ooh.
responses? 6?
6.
Oh, we just got another one.
People are getting lazy. Oh, no, now they're waking up. Depending where they're at, they should be wide awake.
I'm going to show off some of those clean pictures again while we're waiting.
Oh, okay. Hello,
Here we go.
Tiffany.
Hello, Tiffany Burt. Yeah.
Yep. Great to have you in. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, by the way, Tiffany, do you know my email address?
She better. She
She
better.
didn't know my phone number.
It's on your email.
Exactly.
Right. Well, we're still going to give it a moment or two.
Yeah. Give
Yeah,
it a couple
you know.
more minutes.
So let me ask a few fire-off questions. How long have you been with Gruber, if I didn't hear that part?
2.5 years. I actually did
2.5.
4 days in company 1 in comm sales for 4 days. Greg saw my resume. He's like, "Why are you in sales?"
He's
I'm
like,
like, I need a job, okay?
bring him on in.
But no, how this kind of came about is I got a tour of GMC
Oh, wow.
from Pete. And we were watching Al do, Al Barron, who's the individual that trained me on this job, or how this works, was doing this. And I'm like, wow, people still do circuit card repair. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I did that for 6 years.
Wow. It's not
Circuit
obsolete.
card repair. And I'm talking equipment from the 60s. You know, so it's really antiquated at that time. It's still antiquated.
Amazing.
But and then all of a sudden I get a call. Greg talks to me, and then I get a call from Claude, and Claude's like, "Hey, we have this opportunity. You know, here's what what do you think?" Gave me a couple of days to think about it. It didn't take me long to think about it. I could have told him right then, but courtesy, I took the night and then let him know next morning. Hey,
And
I'll
Claude
take the
called you.
job. I'll take the job. You
Claude
know.
don't mess around. He goes straight to the point. That's how
Yeah.
he did with me. I met with him, and the next day he's like, "Hey, we want you on the team." I said,
Well, you don't mess.
"Tell me when."
You don't mess around when you see talent.
All
You
day.
have to pick up talent. Every NFL team does that every year, don't they?
You can put my wife now
Okay.
down.
She said, "Man,
You put my spouse down.
Off topic, by the way, Leonard, you have many children.
I do, and
I already like her. I love her already, dude. She's awesome.
in the Navajo culture, I do have a lot of kids. Yes, I do.
Okay.
I really do, and I do have 3 that are really close to me, and of course the pup. and
I love
everything.
it.
And they treat him like a brother too.
That's great.
Cool.
Well,
So,
great to have you on, man. Highlander says, I'm calling cousins to watch too. Highlander, you're trying to become my hero because it's working. Call all the cousins you got. That's what I've been doing. This morning, we were just blasting. I called, emailed, texted business associates, the industry people. I called people at the other industry down the street. I was texting, emailing. I called everyone in my phone book. Probably
Can I
they don't
tell-
even have no more.
You didn't need to call everybody in your phone book. Can I tell them?
Go ahead,
This guy. Can I tell him?
please.
This guy's got 55 first cousins. Okay? I said first cousins.
Mom's 12
This doesn't
siblings.
even include
Mom's 12
second cousins and
siblings, yeah.
third. I mean, 55 that he knows. That he
Romanians
knows.
back in the day in the 80s, they had no TV. They didn't have a lot to do. Farm and hanging out.
You're not Greek?
Surprisingly, we took a page out of their playbook because mom's 12 siblings, her first cousin's 12 siblings, I'm 8. So we got at least
Good grief.
the Venter clan. Oh, Justice Stanley. Are
my
these all you?
My nephew,
Look
my
at you,
sister-in-law.
Dude, I think they're going to take the cake. Justin Stanley, I think the Hodges family's taking over.
All right, we're going to let this go another. That clock says 11:09, so we'll let it go to 11:10, okay?
Okay, one more minute, and then we're going to close the polls.
30
and I'm
seconds.
putting them in. Holly Stanley. Justin Stanley says he does have many children. Holly Stanley says, hi, Lenny. Highlander. Hi, Lenny. You know what's great? Bree.
That's
How
my
many?
that's my
You
niece
got
out
some
in
people
my niece out in
shouting
Omaha.
in. That's awesome.
Dude, you are.
Awesome.
I just, yeah.
Look at this.
So I think
my
Lenny's gonna
my
become
nephew's
a,
wife.
Lenny, you're gonna become a regular. You got more fans than we all could put together. You're
you
a
know,
popular man.
I'm old.
Okay, I put Monique, one cousin per
One
week.
cousin per week.
B-Day for
For
Elvis.
Elvis.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't. Yeah, that is kind of the case. Good call.
Look who that came from.
It's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you guys know we're at 527 subscribers.
Wow.
Wow.
You guys
Wow.
have just, you guys are on a different level. I just so grateful, so humbled.
Yeah.
I can't say thank you enough. I think this is the way it's going to go. The way Claude is, I think in the books we might have something like this coming up in the next few weeks or months. Knowing how
Yeah.
you're playing, if this is the way it's going to go when we try to get to 1,000 or more.
Hey, we got a lot of different things that we can do. Hey,
Ooh.
so are you cutting off the polls? You cutting off the polls?
Hey, let's do a countdown. 10 seconds.
Okay.
10,
Go ahead.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's it.
Guys, is there any more coming through that you guys know?
There's a little lag, but it does
A little
not
lag, and it
seem
does
to
not
be
look
enough.
like
I
it.
think that's it. Yeah.
And we'll
All
say
right.
this. Bree Ream says, many children. Monique says, awesome podcast. Grant Mobile says, one cousin per week, B-Day for Elvis. That is how it feels. Monique says, he's a legend. Yep, this is the legend, the man, the myth, the legend. Highlander, yep, circuit boards, been there. I love it. Okay, I
Shake
think
it up.
it's
Shake
time.
it up. Shake it up.
Yeah, I'm going to...
In fact, you know what? In order for this thing not to be perceived as, let him pull it out.
all day.
Okay.
All day.
Let this guy pull it out.
All
you know?
day. I mean,
you got 55 cousins. I mean, come on.
But Lenny made it a family affair. This podcast. I mean, I am jealous, dude. Yeah.
Let him pull it out. Let him get the emails, the side emails after this is
But
done.
it shows the love and support in the people around you, and even
does.
outside of the company and within the company.
Honestly, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my family.
I love it.
It wasn't. I would not have
You're trying to make me
completed.
take
I
out
would.
you have glasses. Are you crying?
No, I don't cry.
Well, I might start for you.
You know, I'm not
You got
crying.
me going.
I'm not crying. You're crying, right?
All day.
So, but no, if it wasn't
the
for my
dust from the power
family,
module,
if it
that's-
wasn't for my family, I mean, I probably wouldn't even make 26 years in the military
Wow.
because that's a long, rigorous journey, and you have to have that family support.
Get
You
at
have to
it,
have
shake it
support
up.
system at home,
Yeah.
to make it through.
and a family member is who directed you to get into the military, correct?
Yep, my uncle.
Yeah.
My uncle was my recruiter's boss, so he was my recruiter per se. Got me the jobs I wanted and stuff like that. Threatened me if I didn't get my grades up to send me to Greenland.
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that.
Sounds
right?
like a swell guy.
Yeah. All right. well,
Sounds
go
like
ahead.
a bunch of okay.
Do the
This
honors.
is it. This is it. You're gonna do it. Ooh, and you can read it off. So then we know.
great.
And the
Yep.
winner is.
And the winner is Lenny.
Justin Stanley.
Justin Stanley.
My eyes are sweating, and he just wrote. He just won. Ding,
Okay.
ding, ding. You get the UPS. Are you going to give it to him or are you going to keep it?
No, I'm taking him to the res.
Oh, to the
taking him to the
res.
res.
Okay.
Taking him to the
We're able
res.
to ship things out there, right? Or do you want to take it?
No,
You wanna take
it'll be easier for me to take it.
Okay, we're
Okay.
going to give you a box with some Gruber gear, and then we have a few extra things in that one box. Wait, we're at the res.
Kayenta. It's about 19 miles from Monument Valley, Utah. All
we're
the
gonna
famous
have to go up
photos and
near there and-
everything.
Wow.
Uncle We're going to go right past there. The
Because
sign.
last week when we went to Hopi Salt in the Grand Canyon, the Navajo Nation, we were on the res and we had to pull permits because we drove through the reservation and we were on their land.
We didn't go far enough north to Kayenta, though.
Not to
It was- it
Kayenta,
was
but
a-
we
it
were
was a
still
way.
on part of the
Oh, yeah.
reservation because
Yeah.
it's so huge. And
Exactly.
we saw a lot. We saw so many fascinating things. So, Justin, you are the winner.
forget
You
the-
are the man.
Don't forget the batteries.
I love it. Yeah, it comes with everything.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, look, they're coming through. Look at Grant. God bless you and your family, Lenny. Thank you, Grant. You're a great guy. We love you. I was rooting for you, I'm not gonna lie. Highlander, be careful. I have lots of cousins. Clan Buchanan plus other clans, okay? IT manager Bravo, Grant Mobile. What? I'm gonna give a little bit of theatrics. What? He didn't win? Grant Mobile did not win?
But look at the fourth one down.
And then Justin, because that's the competitor in him, then Justin, you know where I live and work. Yes, he does. Brandon, dang you, Justin. This is a family affair. It's happening now. Grant Mobile, congrats, Justin. Yes, congrats. Near the tire on the side of the road. Justin said is where you
Yeah, there
that's where
it
you'll
is.
find him. That's where you'll find him, near the tire. I saw a lot. You know
Yeah.
what? He's not lying. I saw so many random tires on the res. They're everywhere.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
a great thing. Okay, so we are going to wrap this up.
Couple more. Justin Stanley, thank you. Grandma Bill, no worries. I'm happy to buy a UPS. Oh, hey.
We got a
Hey,
customer.
that's what I'm talking about there.
Hey, I'll
All
get
right.
a 20K ready for you.
Oh, okay. Now you can make Pete sweat.
Well, you ready to wrap it
No
up?
to buy.
We're ready.
All right.
We're
well,
ready.
Hey, I hope you all enjoyed our show. And you are a part of it, and we're going to continue to grow.
You guys are amazing.
Continue to be creative like this. Continue to
Thank
bring
you.
on superstars like Lenny here
Yup.
to help us out technically, and we're going to go from there. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Lenny. Appreciate you, and you guys have an awesome
pleasure.
weekend.
Yeah.